Have you ever pictured an American president landing in a foreign country, not as a politician, but as a king, greeted by roaring fighter jets, streets soaked in gold, and billion-dollar offerings laid at his feet? Today, we unveil what felt less like politics and more like a royal epic. This is the surreal saga of Donald Trump's lavish welcome into the heart of the Middle East. Welcome back to Zenith. You're about to witness a behind-the-curtains look at one of the most opulent and controversial diplomatic tours in modern time. From desert runways to diamond-studded deals, this story shatters every rule of tradition and resets the global power game. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel before we proceed for more videos about luxury and power politics. On May 13, 2025, under the searing blaze of the Arabian sun, Air Force One cut through the heat as it descended onto Riyadh. Below, the skies cracked open with thunder. 4 F-15s painted the air in synchronized motion, signaling not just honor, but reverence. This wasn't diplomacy, this was spectacle. A flowing lavender pathway unfurled beneath Trump's feet, symbolic, royal, unapologetically bold. That purple carpet was no accident. In Saudi tradition, lavender means legacy, rare, strong, and sacred. The gesture screamed louder than any headline. This was not a routine arrival. This was a declaration. As the hatch opened, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman stepped forward, presenting a golden dala, pouring coffee not as a gesture of welcome, but allegiance. Trump was then escorted through the heart of Riyadh in a convoy of obsidian Bentleys, engines purring beneath mirrored towers. They weren't headed to just any hall. Their destination was Al Yamama Palace, where chandeliers the size of helicopters lit up halls of white marble. At its center, Trump and MBS facing off like emperors on neutral ground. But the real explosion came behind closed doors. A deal, the largest military pact in U.S. history, was inked. $142 billion in high-tech weaponry, war systems, and aerospace innovation from American giants like Lockheed Martin and Boeing. And that was just the beginning. Saudi Aramco announced a $50 billion injection into American energy, while the kingdom's sovereign wealth fund pledged a staggering $100 billion toward U.S. infrastructure and tech. Trump, with trademark swagger, hinted the final number could eclipse $1 trillion, enough to ignite 2 million American jobs. To immortalize the moment, Trump was awarded Saudi Arabia's highest civilian honor, the King Abdulaziz Al Saud Medal. Not since World War II had a U.S. president received such distinction abroad. Here, Trump wasn't a guest. He was their equal, their chosen partner, maybe even more. But the theater didn't end in Riyadh. Trump's motorcade rolled out, bound for a new arena of power, Doha, Qatar. And while the pageantry changed, the shockwaves only deepened. Air Force One touched down at Hamad International Airport, where a new face of royalty stood waiting. Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, clad in ceremonial white, standing beside a gauntlet of press flashes. The handshake was stiff, deliberate, and watched by millions. But it was what followed that flipped the global economic script. Qatar Airways dropped a bombshell, an order for 160 state-of-the-art Boeing aircraft, including the cutting-edge 787 Dreamliner and the still unreleased 777X. The deal, worth $96 billion, would ripple across every U.S. manufacturing state, creating 150,000 high-skilled jobs from Seattle to Charleston. Trump didn't just shake hands, he moved capital, he redirected futures. But then came the jaw-dropper no one saw coming. The Emir, in a move that sparked chaos back in D.C., gifted Trump a custom-built Boeing 747 worth $400 million, fitted with gold interiors, a conference chamber, and a private bedroom above the clouds. It was less a gift and more a flying kingdom. Critics erupted. The U.S. Constitution strictly forbids sitting presidents from accepting foreign gifts without Congress's blessing. But the White House didn't flinch. They defended the jet as a strategic asset that would save taxpayer money. The move was risky, bold, and undeniably Trump. Inside Qatar's royal palace, the Emiri Diwan, the two leaders held a private tea ceremony away from the cameras. Topics whispered over porcelain cups included Iran's looming threats, regional peace efforts, and Qatar's emergence as a neutral mediator in oil and military disputes. Business was the surface, power was the undercurrent. This wasn't just about economics, it was psychological warfare. Through billion-dollar gestures and ancient rituals, the Middle East wasn't bowing to America. It was partnering with a version of it could finally respect. And for Trump, it was a stage built for kings. Then came Abu Dhabi, the final and perhaps most outrageous act in this gilded trilogy. On May 15th, 6 Mirage 2000 jets sliced the sky, escorting Trump's plane into the United Arab Emirates like a celestial convoy. The desert wind seemed to pause. The world watched. History rewrote itself in real time. At the base of the runway stood Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the mastermind behind the UAE's transformation into a tech capital. No press conference, no speeches, just a cultural shockwave. Dozens of performers launched into the Ayala sword dance, a tribal display of unity and power. Men raised blades in synchronized rhythm while women in flowing gowns moved like wind through sand. Trump watched wide-eyed, whispering, "This city is beautiful. I love this place." It was unscripted, raw, and undeniably viral. Later that night, deep within the marble-clad halls of the Qasr Al Watan Palace, came the true power play. The UAE committed to a $1.4 trillion investment in the United States. Not million, trillion. The headline? A $500 billion pledge to the Stargate project, an AI-driven infrastructure campaign involving OpenAI, Oracle, Z Corporation, and Japan's SoftBank. And that wasn't all. The Emirates earmarked another $60 billion for LNG development in Texas, plus $14.5 billion in aviation deals to secure more Boeing aircraft. While oil once defined the Middle East, now it was data. And Trump made sure the U.S. held the keys to both. He didn't hold back. Slamming current U.S. policies that limited AI chip exports to allies, Trump barked, "Why restrict technology to those who buy our F-35s?" That line alone triggered standing applause from both American execs and Emirati delegates. With each contract, Trump transformed into something more than a politician. He became an architect, redesigning American foreign policy through profit, not presence. While past administrations built bases, he built pipelines for weapons, for oil, for code. As the tour wound down, one moment cemented everything. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't expensive, but it was unforgettable. As Trump stood at the stairs of Air Force One in Riyadh, ready to depart, he turned slowly and raised his right fist toward MBS. A quiet power play, a last word without words. Without hesitation, the Crown Prince placed his hand over his heart, an ancient sign in Arab culture of loyalty and family. No applause, no cameras flashing, just two titans exchanging mutual respect. A final note that said, "This alliance is sealed in silence, not ink." The world froze. For a heartbeat, the Middle East didn't feel like a powder keg. It felt like a cathedral. And at the center, under the desert sun and lavender carpet, stood Donald Trump, not as a disruptor, but as part of their story now. A chosen character in a script they all agreed to write together. Trump's voyage through Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE wasn't just a PR tour. It was a geopolitical reset. By wielding wealth instead of war, he carved out a new lane for American influence, bypassing tanks and treaties in favor of contracts and capital. The numbers don't lie. Over $3.2 trillion in deals signed in just days, covering sectors from AI to clean energy, defense to infrastructure. But it wasn't the money that mattered most. It was what it redirected: talent, investment, and global focus, away from China, back to American soil. This was a sharp departure from decades of costly military ventures. Trump's diplomacy wasn't built on boots. It was built on billion-dollar blueprints. Power wasn't enforced. It was bought and shared. And in doing so, he redefined what global leadership could look like. No more bombs dropped. No more nations occupied. Just deals made. Alliances forged. Futures negotiated. That was a message to the world. The U.S. isn't retreating. It's evolving. And its influence won't be carried on missiles, but on momentum. So now we ask you, was this the beginning of a new era in American diplomacy, or just a gold-plated show? Should presidents focus on strategic commerce, or return to old-world militarism? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Out Channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss what comes next. Because if this story taught us anything, it's that power these days doesn't always wear a uniform. Sometimes it wears a suit, lands in a jet, and walks down a lavender carpet.